AW 693, Andrew McLaren.
Overnight on 3AW, and our media man is with us. Nick Hayes, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, Vietnam. Hey, this is not a test. This is rock and roll. We're rocking from the Delta to the DMZ. Am I crazy? Does that sound like an Elvis Presley movie? Viva da nang. Oh, viva. Da nang me. You want to get a rope and hang me? Hey, is it too early to be this loud? Too late. It's 0600. What does the O stand for? Oh, my God, it's early. Speaking of early. Na, 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 na. Picture a man. He has just left Crete. He has entered the demilitarized zone. What is a demilitarized zone? Sounds like something out of The Wizard of Oz. Ho-ee-oh, Ho Chi Minh. Ah, you've landed in Saigon. You're among the little people now. We represent the Northern Army, Northern Army. Oh, no, follow the Ho Chi Minh Trail. Oh, I think I'll leave it there.
Oh, Nick Hayes' party trick. I've heard about it. News has filtered across the Nullarbor about it. And there it was, an exclusive for the overnight on 3AW.
I might have done that a couple of times in my past, Andrew. I think I might have seen Good Morning Vietnam maybe one too many times.
Was that how you attracted your fair wife?
Well, my fair wife probably, no, she liked it the first time, but I think she leaves the room every time I do it any other time after that. I think it was probably a slight embarrassment there for her, but if I've had one or two lagers, I can do a fairly mean Robin Williams.
And also, this beggars the question of how many times have you seen the movie?
27 times.
27?
27 times, without a doubt. It was a movie that came out when I was at school. It was just one of those classic. They don't make these films anymore, Andrew.
Doesn't seem like it. No, they're all full of green screen now.
Green screen, but it was on site. It had a great soundtrack. One of the greatest soundtracks, I think, and it was a soundtrack I could connect with my father with, because he was a Nasho. He was.
Was he?
Yeah, he was heading to Vietnam. He didn't happen to go at the end. He had a car accident before he was a night before he was due to be shipped out. But it was the music. The music at the time was just incredible.
As I remember too, the inclusion of the Righteous Brothers' 1966 recording of Unchained Melody on that soundtrack and the popularity of the movie put the record back into the charts in when the movie came out.
And it happened. And the other great one was Louis Armstrong.
Oh, what a wonderful world!
What a wonderful world! You know, and that was the great Satchmo. The one thing that Robin Williams did though with that movie, and it was one of his sort of breaking movies, was that he brought a light about and he also identified the DJ, and he brought personality behind it, and I think there is something there that he was just remarkable. And look, Robin Williams did. I know we're going to talk about him a little later, but he just did some fantastic films. That was one that really touched me, and I just really feel that if they made more movies like that, we'd be going to the theatre more often.
The world would be a better place, I agree. Well, as you said, we'll return with the media coverage of the remarkable media coverage of the passing of Robin Williams. But Joe Hockey certainly has occupied some fair space on TV, radio and newsprint in the last week.
Yeah, he hasn't had a good week, Andrew. He hasn't had a good week. And all about, poor people, whether they drive or don't drive. That was the big thing that Joe Hockey just couldn't seem to get his head around, that he wasn't delivering or communicating this in a very, very effective way. I wonder why these people do not take good advice or don't sit down and have a look at what the repercussions of when even just using the words of poor or those that are not necessarily, when you're talking wealthy, he's starting to talk class. And when he was talking class, that just reeks of a government that is so out of touch. And after 6 years of Australian Labor Party who were failing to communicate every single one of their policies, but still got a lot of legislation through, you would have thought they would have learned a few lessons on the way that Australians like to be communicated to.
Yes, and using the word poor, it's not an offensive word in itself, but somehow coming out of a politician's mouth, a Liberal politician's mouth, disadvantaged, whatever it may be, low-waged, but poor, it was the wrong word, wasn't it?
The wrong wrong word, but also, too, he just presents in such the wrong way. The next day he comes in his chauffeur-driven government car. He looks a little bit frazzled. Of course, all the cigar-smoking pieces that we've got of him on file footage come out. And it's this sort of elitist attitude that the Liberal Party is presenting just gets right under the fingernails of every single Australian. And I guess also, too, the attitude, because you would have thought that the day after having 12 hours to contemplate, overnight, to contemplate what he had actually just done and the advice that he had been given, the next interview that he decided to go away and do was say, well, it's up to the Australian people to work out from the data that the Australian Bureau of Statistics have given. You know, it's still that attitude that I'm not wrong, and if you can't work it out, then you're not as smart as me. That just doesn't sit well with the Australian people.
No, it is really quite a misstep, isn't it? Well, I suppose have a chance to settle down before. Well, they will all be hoping at Liberal headquarters in Canberra it'll all settle down. The dust will settle before the next election. But these are things that could come back to haunt them during the next election campaign. You can imagine how Labor's going to play on that next time around.
We may not have a budget. We may not have a budget put through until the next federal campaign.
I know. I was going to say there's so much debate about this budget. It's going to bump into the one for 2015. I was commenting on that the other night.
Wait, Andrew. Well, hey, the 2015 budget. Nah, don't worry about it, guys. Let's put it aside. We haven't got this one through. We'll just carry it right through.
We'll work on the 14 model.
But that's not. It's getting quite scary how long this has taken. I haven't seen a federal budget take so long to be passed, and it doesn't look as though it's getting any closer to getting passed.
No, it doesn't. I mean, certain things have got through, but there's certainly a lot that hasn't, and it seems like they're because of the bits they haven't got through, they're underfunded in some of the promises they've made in the budget.
Yeah, and you've got to give it to Julia Gillard. I mean, as much as she copped a shellacking in the media for just about her entire term that she was there, she did pass a lot of legislation through. She did have the commitment there from the Greens and also to the crossbenchers. She was a functional Prime Minister leading probably a dysfunctional party.
Yeah, fair summation.
You know, you're looking at now, this is where danger period is coming in for the Liberal government, is that, one, they haven't learnt any lessons from the past, particularly in its communication to the Australian people. But the other side of it is they've got to be careful. If they start bringing in class and an attitude of arrogance in there, they will be very, very quickly dismissed and booted out. And I wouldn't be surprised if this continues on for much longer, that there'll be a one-term government. But Joe Hockey, he was feeling the heat and the pressure from his own party. It's not just the Australian people. Their own party was saying, hey, start getting it together, start communicating properly, or we're going to find a new treasurer.
Yeah, some libs and nats in marginal seats especially would be very toey. All right, we'll move away from Canberra and we will return to the coverage of the Robin Williams tragedy.
Look, unbelievable outcry. I mean,
more than I would have imagined. When I first, I'm sure you're the same, Nick. When I first heard the news, I thought, oh my goodness, that's terrible. But what's gone on since? It shocked me.
Well, it's almost one of those moments. Where were you when Kennedy was shot? Where were you when
man landed on the moon?
The towers came down? And where were you when you heard Robin Williams had died? And I don't play that as a sort of a comedy sketch. I'm struggling to get it out now. But it is one of those moments you sort of went, oh my God, and it just went through traditional and new media like there was no tomorrow. And very quickly everyone was working out that Robin Williams had passed away under circumstances that, look, it does happen out there, and particularly his circumstances were broadcasted in a media gathering 36 hours after, and it was quite explicit in the way that it was actually told how he passed away. And in many ways it was and had to be done like that, because we do know with such a high-profile person that a lot of questions will be raised as to whether or how he did pass away. And there will also be suggestions there that there were some untoward activity going on. Look, Robin did pass away. It was suicide, and unfortunately, we've lost one of the greats. One big lesson that we've learned from this, and one of the great things that if you can take a great thing out of this, is that organisations like Lifeline and Beyond Blue have had record number of calls and communication to them. They are two great organisations. Lifeline, particularly with their phone number 11 13 14. It's just one of those numbers that if you're ever feeling down or or not feeling quite right, or you really want to have a chat with someone, that they're one of the greatest organisations I think that we've got going around, and always pick up the phone and just give them a call.
Yeah, that number again, 11 13 14 for Lifeline.
13 11 14.
13 11, pardon me, yes, 13 11 14. All right, now, Channel 10, your favourite network, Channel 10 we're going to discuss again, and you love Channel 10.
Oh, look, hang on, can we just press the record button here now? I've just got to send this over to 10. No, look, things are happening. I love Channel 10, as you know, but look, Rove McManus is back on the project, and look, the project is one of my favourite shows, and I think it's one of those shows that is almost the future of the way news is going to be delivered. I'm not sure if it's ahead of its time or it's behind its time. All these sort of concept shows that have kicked on, but the project has been around for many years now. The numbers have been suffering because they lost Charlie Pickering, they lost Dave Hughes, and there's been less appeal around it. But having Rove McManus back will give them an injection there that they're probably looking for. The Australian people love Rove McManus. I don't know what it is about him, his cheeky little smile.
It's the cheeky smile. He is kind of the guy next door, that neighbour you want to have, isn't he?
And he's got an amazing history as well. I mean,
he's a Perth boy, isn't he?
He's a Perth boy. Oh, is he? Yeah, he is a Perth boy. That's right, he is. Good things come from Perth, but I'm Victorian, so unfortunately, I'm the foreigner over here. No, Perth boy, he's doing well. He's had a bit of trouble over in the US with one of his shows, and it didn't really hit off. But he is back in town. The projects he's placed, it's actually Rove Productions that puts it all together anyway. So,
the boss is in the chair then?
The boss is in the chair, so he always had a job to come home to. But we'll watch the numbers fly. I think the numbers will just skyrocket now. We'll see the project starting to hit back some big numbers.
Oh, well, good luck to them all there. And we'll finish off with, Channel 10 again. I see on your list. No, not this time.
Now.
Channel 9, I'm sorry.
Channel 9, Andrew.
I'm being cruel. No, Big Brother, yes. How relevant is Big Brother is the question you pose here. It's got to be going well over a decade, I guess, isn't it?
Well over a decade. I remember Big Brother was first running when we had mobile phones. If we were connecting to the internet, it was all dial-up and all those little strange noises coming through. We really weren't connected. Mm-hmm. But today's world, we're all a bunch of voyeurs anyway. You only have to jump onto the internet and you can see, on Facebook, on Twitter, you can see all the kind of actions that are going on online as it's actually happening. But, excuse me, the idea of Big Brother continuing on, I mean, if I had a big red button that could actually just say, look, that's one show I want to get rid of right now, and that would be it. I would push that button and say, it's not relevant anymore. I can't see how they're actually going to make it work, but Channel 9 has bought it from Channel 10 a little while back.
That's right, yes, of course. It went into hibernation for a while and then it came back. It'd be a fairly expensive show to mount, I would imagine, too.
Well, back in the day, it wasn't that expensive because they don't actually pay any of the actors.
Good point. I hadn't thought of that.
The prize money will be there at the end, but they don't actually pay any of the actors. It's the whole production team that's the cost. Look, it's just a show that was pretty much the groundwork for some of our FM broadcasters now that have got jobs, and a few of these sort of extrovert people that are running around. But everyone just wants to be famous, and I think if you want to be famous, Big Brother would be the last show I'd want to get on. But I'd love to hear from your listeners tonight. Are they going to watch it? Because the Big Brother did have a demographic and did have an audience that just wasn't around the young people. It was on older people as well, middle-aged people. They did have a lot of appeal back 12, 13 years ago. Does it still have the same appeal now? Yeah,
good point, and interesting. Yeah, we'll see how that pans out. Nick, thank you very much.
Andrew, very good. I don't know what I'll be singing for you next week, but...
we don't want to wear your voice out. Maybe next year sometime you could do another song for us, maybe. Just possibly.
What do you say? It was no good.
No, never, Nick. It was very entertaining. We all enjoyed it.
I'll talk to you next week.
Thank you. Nick is our media man overnight on 3AW.